First time on our show, ladies and gentlemen, Rebecca Kassay, a great performance November the 5th, capturing the 4th Assembly District. One of the new members in Albany, Rebecca Kassay, her name is, and we welcome the Assemblywoman to the
Thank
show.
you so
It is
much.
great having you.
Good morning.
It's great having you, Rebecca. Did I pronounce the last name right? Let's get that out of the way.
You got it. It's Kassay. The one that's a little bit of a stretch is Casey, but I always say if someone says that, if they call me Rebecca Casey, I say I've been called worse. So we're still okay.
There you go. Excellent shape. Now, this was your second go-around regarding elections. Do I have that one right?
Well, only if you count the primary. So I started in village government,
Right.
being a small business owner for 10 years, and I won it was 2 terms elected there, won both elections, and then so for the state level, I ran a primary last year, and then the general, and was thankfully successful in both.
There you go. Excellent job there. Let's get into it a little bit. What prompted you to really go after it this cycle here? What were some of the biggest points on the Kassay list? Why you wanted to lend your mindset to Albany to try and to add on there or correct or whatever? What was the motivation?
Sure. Listen, when I would get that question at the doors, knocked thousands and thousands of doors during both cycles. And, I would say I think there's too many politicians in politics. I'm coming from, again, this background, having run a small business, a bed and breakfast at my house with my husband for 10 years. And then my actual career is in environmental science. And I just think that we need all levels of government to have people with different life experience, expertise, so that when everyone's sitting around the table talking about legislation that, for example, affects small businesses, someone can say, "Hey, I've been there, and I know I can see how this legislation is going to affect me," and it's really going to create stronger legislation, more practical legislation. So really, a frustration that I know I'm not alone in drove me to run for the seat, because I just want to be an everyday person up there representing my community.
There you go. Rebecca Kassay with us, the Assemblywoman representing the 4th, ladies and gentlemen, the 4th Assembly District. You've been to Albany. The session started last month. Is it what you expected, Assemblywoman, as far as, the notoriety? I know you're well-schooled from the past and whatnot here, but you're actually in that chamber in Albany. Describe that to us.
Sure. It's, for me, it's the glitz and the glamour. I look at the honor of sitting in these seats that incredible leaders, Roosevelt, others sat in before me, and having that privilege to represent the community. It's a gorgeous historic building. The assembly is seated in there. For me, it's the least interesting part is sort of the puffing up your feathers and saying, "Oh, here I am, someone very important." I am just a person from the district who's going up to do the work, and I found that Albany is full of very smart people. Both sides of the aisle. There's just great public servants who are looking to make the lives of the residents better, and it's been really heartening, honestly, to see just how helpful and collaborative people want to be as far as helping newbies. There's myself and I think 21 other freshmen lawmakers coming into the assembly this year, and everyone's just been very helpful learning the ropes. We're in week 6 right now, and I'm already the train is on the tracks and we're rolling.
And I'll tell you, a good one to learn from is a very good friend of the show, or what we do here, is that of Chuck Levine. Chuck's been around forever, and I'm sure you've had many a conversation with the 13th Assembly District leader there.
Without a doubt, and talk about a smart guy and a total sweetheart. So I'm lucky to be seated fairly close to him, so sometimes I'll shuffle over, or he'll be walking by, and I'll grab it and I say, "Hey, Chuck, if I wanted to do this, what do you think?" And always stops and answers my questions, which only create more questions. And so the patience and the willingness to help others here on Long Island learn how to serve Long Island best is greatly appreciated.
No question. We're talking with the Assemblywoman Rebecca Kassay in the 4th Assembly District, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the island. You mentioned for the people, the residents, and everything else that you are representing right now as you are in Albany. What plagues, in your mind, Assemblywoman Kassay, the people of the 4th District? What were the sticking points as you went on that campaign trail and knocking on doors? What do they have to say? What do you hope to accomplish in Albany based off that?
Sure. I always lead by listening. And so most people dread knocking doors. I actually really enjoyed it. So, there's something terribly wrong with me, or I just have the right perspective on it. I would knock and I would introduce myself, I'm Rebecca Kassay. I'm running for office at the state level. I want to tell you a little bit about what I want to do, but first, tell me about what you're facing here. And it was really interesting because most people just expected to get, the 30-second, 1-minute elevator pitch and be talked at. And in no context does anyone like to be talked at. People want to feel heard. And it was so valuable getting to listen to the everyday people, meeting them where they're at on their doorsteps. And time and time again, 9 out of 10 times, people would say immediately the cost of living. It is so expensive to live here on Long Island, and I know it as a person who grew up in St. James, and then came back for a job at Avalon Park and Preserve. In that was 2013. My husband and I said, you know what, we're going to be around here. Let's buy a home, and thank goodness we did at the time, because I can't imagine being a young professional trying to buy a house right now, both with the cost of homes, the interest rates, and the competition with these hedge funds, these equity firms purchasing homes as investments. So I was glad to see in the governor's proposal, that was my stand up and clap moment at the State of the State, that she's really looking to move forward on legislation to protect home buyers from competing with folks you really can't compete with.
And that's the biggest thing right now. People would love to stay. These are the roots. They don't want to leave. They don't want to pick up and leave, but it's got to be affordable. It's tough out there. 7% interest rates. Median price. $680 to $840 in that range. Nassau, Suffolk. People would love to stay here and raise families.
Yeah, no, and the grandparents would love to have their kids come and stay and be able to help with that. Listen, we're talking not just about the location that one lives, but the structure of family and community. And so, that's really my top, I'm not, someone said, don't say it's your top priority. I'm like, the cost of living is my top priority, because there's so much under that umbrella. It's not just housing. It's the cost of, when you go to the grocery store, that's largely a federal issue, but we can be looking at some things at the state level here. It's bringing the taxpayer dollar back to the district. Historically, we've sent much more money up to Albany than we've gotten back. And so I've already been a very polite squeaky wheel, figuring out how all of our local governments, local organizations can tap into all the grant programs and, all the monies that are available for the work that they're trying to do to better our communities and ultimately offset the county and town taxes as a result.
Yeah, we talked about that the last couple of days. Property taxes, the island sends more money than anyone else, 70% to 56%. You got to close that gap without question. Hopefully that can be accomplished. Talking with Assemblywoman Kassay in the 4th. Now, one of the things we've spoken about over the years, we're doing this a long time, where you speak to everybody, Assemblywoman Kassay, both sides of the aisle. We recognize the one-party rule. A lot of people are not happy with the one-party rule about getting their voices heard. With you in there right now in your voice, I know you're aware of it. It's about a negotiation, fairness, and everything else. Do you expect it? Will you be making strides? It's important to get fresh ideas and opinions, and I'm talking from each side, too. That's important, no?
No, absolutely, without a doubt. Listen, I think the partisan politics at any level of government is very frustrating, because you have good public servants who are, on one side of the aisle or the other, and it's frustrating when, whether it's 51% rule or, in the assembly we have a supermajority. And so I do. I've reached out to my colleagues here in Suffolk County largely, and we meet up for coffee. I learn about them. They learn about me. We're collaborating because where my district ends and theirs begins, I'm still serving our community, and our communities are arbitrarily, have these lines around them. But no, I'm proactively working to have good relationships with folks, on both sides of the aisle, because we all understand our communities, whether it's colleagues in government or, people in my village. I always say we surely agree on like 80% or more of the issues. Infrastructure is not a partisan issue. The environment should not be a partisan issue. These are things that affect us all. We, should all want to improve them, work on them. It's these fringe issues that unfortunately get focused on, and we've sort of lost that ability to have a respectful discourse about it. And to me, I lean into those conversations in a calm and metered fashion, but I invite people who have different opinions than I do at the time to come and tell me about. If they say, hey, I feel a different way, I want to know why. I want to know how they got to their conclusion, because I'm likely to learn something and be able to have a stronger leadership for it. So, I think we've just gotten to a point, certain leaders will, go too far one way or the other and stop really representing all of the people of their district to the best of their ability.
Dialogue's key. Communication, two-way street. You need it. We're all in the business as far as discussions are concerned, and communication. You got to keep those lines open, especially in your business, in which it's vital. We got to get both sides of the street involved without question. What about experiences meeting the governor for the first time, and also the Assembly leader Carl Hastie? Give me a sense there.
Sure. I always I've been there enough. Throwing myself into the deep end and learning how to swim, and sort of all of the characters that have been in the different, experiences of my life, to know that people are people and people are people, and that's it. And so it's been really interesting getting to see these leaders, getting to better understand where they're coming from, and understanding the dynamics that drive decision making. So it's great. I admire anyone who's worked their way up to that level of leadership, and I'm curious, how did they get there, and what's continuing to drive them? So it's been nice and very interesting to meet these folks whose names you read a million times, and then you get to shake their hand. The governor hosted all of the freshmen, both Democrats and Republicans, for a breakfast, I believe it was last week. And, it's just, I was chatting with one of my Republican colleagues, and they're like, it's just good to shake her hand and have a chat. And I think that's what we need to get back to doing more of, instead of, pointing fingers and being a keyboard warrior. You just talk to someone. And I think that's gonna move us forward.
And that's the key. And know this, we have a very good audience in that fourth district. Your voice will be heard, and you have the stage anytime you need it. Know that, Assemblywoman, as far as anything that needs to be present here. You don't need an invitation. Come on with us anytime. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the time, and I will definitely be calling in, and we invite anyone to give our office a call. And, if we never promise we can fix an issue, but we could definitely promise we're going to try. So look forward to talking to our residents. And thank you so much for hosting a great show.
My pleasure. Anytime you need it. That's Assemblywoman Rebecca Kassay, ladies and gentlemen, leading the charge in that 4th Assembly District. Until next time, great weekend and everything else. We'll chat.
Thank you. Thank you as well. Bye-bye.